What's up, guys? Welcome to GoGo Motoring YouTube channel. So this video is going to be the second video that I'm going to do on the heater core issue, the heating issue that my 2007 BMW 328i was experiencing. If you've seen the previous video that I posted about a few days ago, I was taking the car to my mechanic to figure out what the cure was for the issues involving the heating in this BMW coupe. And now I have the car back and can report back. And before I do that, I also want to spend a little more time telling you about all the symptoms that the car had as it relates to steering. I realized I didn't go into too much detail of that in the previous video, so that's what I want to do. I want to kind of tell you exactly what the symptoms were as it relates to the heating issue in this car, and then I'm going to tell you whether the replacement of the heater core, which is what my mechanic recommended, fixed the problem. So let's go ahead and get inside the car. All right, so here we are inside my 2007 BMW 328i, and I want to first kind of take a second to explain all the specific issues that I was experiencing with the heat of this car. So let me turn the car on. Okay, so here's kind of what the issues with the car were. Okay, whenever I had, let me see if you can hopefully it's light enough for you all to see, but here is the instrument panel where you can control the heat and the air conditioning in the car. You've got this knob here, right? So this knob effectively adjusts the temperature in the car, and you have dual climate control, so this other knob does the same thing. Okay, so when the system is working correctly, normally what you would do is you would push auto, which is what I have done here, and then whatever I wanted the heat to be, I would adjust the heat to the corresponding temperature. Okay, and if you just push the auto button and you do that, you're gonna have the auto is gonna be is light up. You're gonna have the air conditioning icon, the A, being that's gonna light up as well. And then there's also this snowflake issue there. Okay, that actually I think is just there. I think that's representative of the filter. There's a little bit of there's different things that people say on the forums as to whether that should be on or not. But the point is, if you push auto on this panel and you adjust the heat to whatever you want it to be, all three of these are going to be light up. And then over here you've got this knob that you can adjust, right? So you can put it in the middle. If you put it to the left, it's blue, so it's blowing cold air. And the reason it does that is to keep the driver awake. So even if you have the heat on, if you turn the knob to this blue side, then you're going to get cold air. If you put it in the middle, you're going to get tepid air. And then if you put it all the way to the red, you're going to get warm air coming from the cabin. So important to note is that you can push auto, you can have the heat on, but if you have this knob here on the left, you're still going to get cold air coming from the vents. And again, that's BMW does that because so that the cold air could keep the driver awake. Okay, so anyway, when I put it in 74, 75, I mean, typically if it's cold outside, the heat's going to work a little bit better once the car warms up, but you get warm air coming from these vents right here. You got warm air coming from the vent over here as well, and likewise over there you get warm air coming through these back vents over here. Okay, so what ended up happening was, before what the issue was is that if I put it in auto before, okay, I could almost, there was never really any heat coming from this panel. There was actually no heat coming from this panel, from this vent right here. there, you know, after the car had been working for 20-30 minutes, you would get a little bit of heat coming from here, but it would never be like super hot, you know, tepid at best. And that's after the engine, you know, having been warmed up for 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes of driving. And then on this panel right here, okay, and I'm sorry, this vent over here, you would actually always get kind of cold air no matter what happened. So whenever I would, and then I would fiddle with the controls, right? I would turn this off. You know, some people are saying that, you know, I think that's really for pollen. I think that's a filter sign. And what the car does is when this is on, my understanding is that that means that the outside air is getting filtered in before it enters the cabin. Some people are saying, you know, this snowball icon needs to be turned off in order for the heat to work when you have it in auto. It really doesn't matter. When I was, you know, when my heat was not working, whether I turned that off, whether I turned that on, it really made no difference. Then what I would try to do, you know, so in auto, it wasn't working well. And in fact, if it was cold outside and I set the heat at like 81, 82 degrees, what would end up happening is you would have the blower motor working hard, and it would almost make the car colder because there wasn't any heat coming through these vents. So before I ended up fixing this issue, what I would do is I would just, you know, set it at 74 like this. This is typically what I would do. Set it at 74. Keep it at, you know, 3 bars here, wait for the car to warm up, and at best I'd be getting a little bit of tepid heat coming from this vent here. I try to fiddle around with the controls. I try to do this, right, like so you can kind of direct the direction in which it's going, like in which the heat is going. So if I do that now, there's already, you know, the car isn't warmed up, but there's blue air that's blowing. When I did that in the, you know, before I ended up replacing the heater in the core in this car, again, there wouldn't be any hot air coming in. Maybe tepid here, air from here, a little bit of colder air here, and certainly colder air there as well. So I think, you know, same thing, you know, with these items, like these different buttons, there just really wasn't, you know, anything coming out of there. So I ended up, as mentioned in the previous video, I ended up getting several different opinions on how to you know, how to fix this issue. As mentioned in the previous video, I ended up doing 2 flushes of the system, and they really didn't do anything. That they didn't help. You know, there was never much heat coming when I did the 2 flushes. And you know, the recommendation that I received was that the heater core needed to be replaced. That's a pretty elaborate job, replacing the heater core. You basically have to remove, you know, this entire front panel, the steering wheel. I mean, it's you can find some videos on YouTube or, you know, pictures showing you what the car looks like, but everything gets stripped down, the heater core gets taken out, and a new heater core gets put in. So it's a very labor-intensive job, and it's certainly, you know, not something that you know, if you're not skilled working on BMWs or cars, you probably shouldn't be the, you know, the one doing that. So to make a long story short, after getting several opinions and all of them effectively telling me that the way to, you know, fix the issue with the heat is to replace the heater core, which I did not want to hear, right? I didn't want to hear that because that's an expensive fix. It's a labor-intensive job. Because I love this car, because I plan on keeping this car for a long time, and I've had it for a long time, I plan on keeping it for a long time, I decided to go ahead and make that investment. And now the heater core has been replaced in the car, and I can tell you that that has fixed the issue for me. All I have to do now is put it in auto mode, you know, put it 74, 75. The snowflake icon can stay on. You know, I do put this knob over here towards the, you know, towards the right, so that you get some heat working, and the car works as it should. You get warm air all throughout the cabin. You get warm air by your feet, and the car can get pretty toasty, you know, especially if you've been driving it 10-15 minutes. If you crank it up to 84, which is the maximum that you can crank it up on both sides, I can tell you that I am burning up in this car, which just wasn't the case before. And it's also consistent, the way the heat works now that I've replaced the heater core, it's consistent with how my first 2000 BMW, how the heat of my first BMW 2008 328i worked, how the heat of my 2011 BMW 335i worked, and now how the heat in this 2007 BMW 328i coupe works now. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful. I hope I've kind of giving you a little more information as to what the particular issues were before I ended up replacing the heater core. And I can confirm, at least, you know, for my car, that the replacement of the heater core was the appropriate remedy. You know, I certainly don't, you know, if any of you are experiencing this issue, I certainly don't blame any of you for trying to make sure that that's the problem, and you should. You know, it's a lot cheaper to flush the system than to replace the core. And you know, I'm sure there's a couple of other, you know, there's some other, you know, potential issues that could lead to that. I don't know what those are, frankly, but I know that for me, the replacement of the heater core did the trick. And you know, the only kind of regret I have is not having replaced the heater core before, because it really makes the you know, ownership experience, obviously, of the car much more enjoyable when you have, you know, fully functioning heat. And you know, that's you just know you have a car that's working in perfect order. So all right, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I hope I gave you, you know, more information about the heating issue, and you know, what the appropriate remedy has been. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, and stay tuned for more videos. There are going to be plenty more videos coming your way. Thanks, guys.